He wanted me to sell digital surveillance to politicians and billionaires. But I had a different plan. I didn't want to sell protection. I wanted to be it. He thought I was just a tool, another instrument in his empire of controlled secrets and leveraged fear. But even back then, when I was still Natalie Kerr, daughter of the great Robert Kerr, I already knew I couldn't stomach the weight of watching innocence traded for access. So I disappeared, took the scholarship I'd secretly earned, a full ride to a STEM program halfway across the country, left my old phone in a Greyhound trash can, changed my name on every traceable platform, built a digital silence so impenetrable that even the most advanced trackers couldn't follow. And for 6 years, I lived in that silence. No calls, no emails, no threats, just me buried in firewalls, algorithms, and agency training, building a future they never wanted me to have. Until the message came. It wasn't a ping, not a text, not an email. It was a signal sent across a secure satellite band, encrypted with a protocol so specific, I knew exactly who had sent it. It read, "You should be there. Some debts die louder than others." No name, no traceable IP, but the signature in the encryption, that was pure Langley. Someone at the CIA knew where I was, and someone wanted me back in the room. So I packed the black suit I never thought I'd wear, boarded a red-eye to Maryland, the town I promised I'd never see again, and landed into a funeral already rehearsed to bury not just a man, but the truth. It was raining, of course it was. Not the dramatic kind, just that quiet, bone-damp drizzle that creeps into your skin. Like regret. The chapel was full. Men in tailored suits, gray, navy, black, all expensive, all quiet. Defense contractors, State Department ghosts, billionaire clients who built their empires on secrets stolen in the dark. My brother Ethan stood at the altar like the heir to a kingdom. Hair slicked, eyes glassy, voice controlled. My father was a brilliant man, a mentor, a visionary. He didn't even flinch. No mention of the child he disowned when she questioned a few too many invoices. No mention of the journalists my father silenced when they got too close to the truth. And certainly no mention of me, the one who exposed it all. I wasn't even listed in the program. They didn't just ignore me. They erased me. And honestly, that would have been fine. Let them play pretend. Let them bask in the myth of Robert Kerr. I wasn't there to interrupt their fiction, but someone else was. He stepped up to the microphone. A man in a clean navy suit, older but fit, sharp eyes under heavy brows. He didn't belong to the family, didn't belong to the corporate machine either. The American flag pin on his lapel wasn't for show. You could tell. This was someone who'd seen things you don't put in reports. He looked around the chapel, scanned faces like he was assessing a threat. Then his eyes landed on me, and everything stopped. He stepped closer to the mic, cleared his throat. "Before I speak of Robert Kerr," he said, "I must first recognize someone in this room." Pause. Natalie Kerr, whose cybersecurity innovations over the last 5 years have quietly prevented over 20 coordinated attacks on U.S. infrastructure. A hush fell over the room like a collapsed building. She now serves as lead cybersecurity officer with the Central Intelligence Agency. Her work in digital counterintelligence, threat interception, and national defense is nothing short of extraordinary. Ethan's face drained. My mother turned stiff, like she'd swallowed something sharp. Beth just looked confused, like the ground was shifting and she had nowhere to stand. Me, I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't smile. I sat in the back row, my hands folded, letting the silence do what it always does. Reveal the truth no one wants to hear. The speaker continued. "It is ironic," he said slowly, that while many in this room profited from surveillance and access, Natalie chose to protect it, not for power, not for profit, but for principle. And then he said it, the line I'll never forget. And that is the legacy worth remembering. The words hit harder than any accusation ever could, because they weren't just about me. They were about him, about my father, about everything he built, and everything I refused to become. The service ended in a silence so heavy it felt like fog. Nobody approached me. Nobody dared. They didn't know who I was anymore. And maybe that was the point. But one man did come forward, Mr. Alvarez, my father's oldest rival, a Cuban-born intelligence tycoon who'd spent decades trying to dismantle everything my father stood for. He walked over like a man on sacred ground, offered his hand. "Natalie," he said. I took it. He leaned in, spoke low. "Your father feared two things," he whispered, "losing control of the narrative, and you." That silence again. Only this time, I welcomed it. I nodded, said nothing, and walked out. I didn't look back, didn't need to, because I knew whatever story they were telling in that room, it wasn't the real one anymore. They had spent years building a version of me that was weak, a runaway, a mistake. But that girl, she died the day she walked away from her father's empire. What stood in her place was Agent Kerr, a woman who no longer ran from truth, but lived it, shaped it, protected it. And the family that tried to erase me, they just got overwritten by justice, by silence, by a single voice that dared to speak my name loud enough for the world to hear. Because justice doesn't always scream. Sometimes it walks into a funeral, salutes the forgotten, and rewrites the ending. If this story found you in a place you thought no one could reach, subscribe, stick around, because sometimes the best revenge is simply being seen.